Hi, I hope you are good. Welcome to this my channel. My name's Victor Sande. For today's session is a continuous from the introduction to the Billings Ovulation Method that I gave the other time. You can go back and watch it under introduction for you to be able to understand better with this second session that I'm providing today. Today, I want now to give an overview of how we can help or a woman can use this method called the Billings Ovulation Method in order to make observation and chart. Kindly, before I continue, I like to make a disclaimer. Whatever today I'm teaching is for demonstration purposes. Kindly do not go and practice without the guidance or assistance of a teacher, because chances of failing are high if you will not be assisted and guided. This is just an overview of how this method works and how we can assist you as a woman or as a couple to help you to get the point on how this observation are made. Under the title there that I've just presented, how can a woman identify when her cervix is open or closed? Do you know when your cervix is open or closed? Like previously, we said the cervix is like a valve. It opens and it closes. It opens and closes depending on the phase of the cycle that a woman is in. Now, how can a woman tell when her cervix is open or closed? It's very simple. Using the Billings Ovulation Method, this method helps a woman to know when her cervix is open or closed. Let us see how it goes. A woman will not be asked to do anything other than pay attention to what her body is telling her. It is important that no internal examination are done and the mucus is not physically touched. What observation are we making here? And we say these natural signs you are looking. What are these natural signs? We talked about mucus and we saw the value of mucus and we saw even the different types of mucus that can help a woman to tell when she is fertile or not, depending on the phases that these mucus are being produced. We said we have two types of mucus. We have fertile and unfertile mucus being produced in either infertile phase or fertile phase. And we saw how mucus contribute to the lifespan of sperms. Regarding the fertile mucus, we saw the properties or the characteristics of fertile mucus that they provide, they nourish the sperms with food so that sperm can be able to survive for 3 to 5 days. That was one of the function. And the second function, the second function that we talked about the mucus, we said about the fertile mucus, it provide road network or transportation for sperm to be able to travel along up to the fallopian tube. The third one was to lock the abnormal sperms. That is the fertile mucus. Now, what about the infertile mucus? We say sperm cannot survive for long. It will die within a short period of time. Now, these types of mucus that I've just mentioned them, they are being produced depending on the phase that a woman she is in. And this method, and under the Billings Ovulation Method, how do we observe this mucus? We have two types of observation that we use in the Billings Ovulation Method. Number one, and which is the most reliable and recommended, is the sensation that a woman feels at the vulva. If you do not understand or you don't visualize where the vulva is, kindly reach out to the introduction to the Billings Ovulation Method that I had actually presented before. This mucus is being produced by the cervix. And when is it being produced? It will depend on the phases and under the influence of hormones. This observation, I've said, we have two types. We have the sensation, which is the most reliable and recommended because even a blind person can still use it effectively. Where are the sensations made? The sensations are made at the vulva. This organ is a very, very important part of the Billings Ovulation Method that helps a woman to feel the sensation that she can be able to tell and write down how she feels. Remember, the vulva is very sensitive, 5 times more than the tips of a fingertip. That is how sensitive it is. Anything that will pass from the cervix, that discharge that have been produced from the cervix, the discharge, it will be able to flow. It will be able to be detected. A woman will be able to feel at the vulva. The second one, observation, is the physical examination. What you see with your naked eyes. When do you make this observation? You make them when you go to the loo under your pant, under your panty, or when you have wiped yourself, you can be able to see. What do you see with your naked eye? And you describe using your own words. It is not the words that I will put on your mind or on your mind. You have to describe the way you have seen it, the consistence, the consistency of that particular mucus, the color, the texture, using your own words. And under the Billings Ovulation Method, you are not supposed to make internal examination. Why? Because the inside of the vagina is always wet. You may end up confusing, getting wrong results. And remember, we are depending on this examination that you are making to determine the phase that you are in, whether fertile or infertile. And we will see the characteristics of these phases that we are talking about, the fertile phase and infertile phase. How do we recognize a fertile and infertile phase? That one I'll be able to tell in another video. Secondly, apart from the confusion, that you will get when you are making internal examination is you can introduce infection inside the vagina when you insert it using your finger. Also, the mucus that you produce them, you don't have to touch them. You just observe them, look at how they appear, describe using your own words. There's some method that will be told you will have maybe to touch, to hold to hold the mucus. You stretch it between your fingers and you describe the consistent, the texture, the color. But here, you're not supposed to do that. What you see and what you feel. When the cervix is open, during the fertile phase, the mucus being produced will flow to the outside of her body, where the vulva will sense its presence. When the cervix is open, during the fertile phase, the mucus being produced will flow to the outside of her body, where the vulva will sense its presence. That means for this woman to be able to feel the presence of the vulva, she must be in an upright position, not lying down. Why? It's because when you are lying down, the discharge or the mucus that will have been accumulated in the vagina will not be able to flow. It is until when you are on your normal activities during the day, you can be able to feel them, how they flow, the sensation, wet, different. You describe using your own terms. And when are you supposed now to make this observation? Even before we go to make observation, somebody might maybe be wondering, you're talking about the sensation, the feeling at the vulva, and I've not been able to experience them. It's because you've not been paying attention. But today I'm telling you, if you have decided to walk through the Billings Ovulation Method and you have made commitment, you will be able to feel them and even to make the observation properly, because you have not been paying attention and these things are there with you. These are what we call the natural signs of fertility, that you have them. Now, giving an example of how can a woman tell when her menses are coming, when blood is now starting to flow? The answers that I've been getting from many women, you can feel the wetness of blood flowing. You can feel it under the vulva, wetness. And I believe that is the point that you will go and get a pad to put on it. Now, apart from blood, what else have you experienced passing through your vagina up to the vulva? Is there anything else? Yes, there is a discharge that you normally produce now and then, and you feel it at the vulva. But this time, we want you now to be able to differentiate the kind of sensation you feel, because it is not the same sensation that you feel. It is different. Why is it different? Depending on the phase. Because what is happening if for a woman who has not used contraceptives, she's naturally, her body processes have not been disturbed, everything is intact, she'll be able to experience this. For some women, after bleeding, after menses, they normally experience dryness with over a certain number of days. There are some who they feel or they observe a discharge that does not change day after day. And then all of a sudden, they experience something different from the norm that they have used to. Like you have seen dryness, dryness, dryness. Then all of a sudden, you experience a kind of wetness. And that wetness keeps on changing. And there are terms that you can use: damp, literary wetness. And the discharge, maybe you see it is whitish, cream. And do not use the words that I'm describing them, because for certain woman, she might, in her infertile phase, having experience in infertile phase, cream mucus, which does not change day after day. But for another woman, that same cream discharge, it indicates fertility. Now, we say this method is helpful in telling her woman when she's fertile or not. And at the same time, remember, every woman is unique and every woman is different. You have to describe using your own words, not copying from what I'm saying or from another woman. It's you. Now, this mucus, when it passes through the vulva, you can also be able to see them in your panty or when you are wiping yourself. The other issue that I want even to put across here in the Billings Ovulation, we don't use thermometer at all. Why? Everything have been catered along the Billings Ovulation Method with the rules, with the 4 rules that the Billing method uses as a form of security to protect you. I hope up to there you have gotten something. And if you have not understand, please feel free to contact me through my email. If you can get in touch with me also, even by calling me, and we can organize a class even for you. As the woman goes about her normal activities, by tuning into what her body is telling her, she will know when the mucus is present. I remember asking, do we know the value of this mucus? Without mucus, you cannot get pregnancy. This mucus also tells you what is happening in your reproductive system. This mucus is a sign of good health. Some women, out of ignorance, they thought that this mucus was unhealthy. Some even they got into an extent of using Dettol soaps to wash thoroughly to remove this mucus, failing to recognize that this mucus is a sign of good health. Without it, you will have problems. It can be as a sign of problems in you. One, in the infertile mucus that we have talked about, it contains acidity, that it kills bacteria. It kills bacteria that are not supposed to pass through up to the uterus. And it creates an conducive environment for other bacteria which are not supposed to be there. You know, in the vagina and along that path, we have bacteria which are normal. They are supposed to be there. Once you interfere with that mucus, you can create or destabilize the pH of that area, making other bacteria which are not supposed to be there to grow. And that's why you find sometimes you have a lot now a chronic infection UTI, which does not get away even with the medication. They have become resistant because of that. As a woman walks about, she can tell when menstruations begin. Look at that woman. You have now, the Billings Ovulation Method has become part and parcel of you. Remember, it is now your second nature. The way she walks, she can be able to sense. For the women who have become familiar with the Billings, they do not struggle. At first, we'll have to struggle. How can I make this observation? How do I make? How do I chart? You ask a lot of questions, but try and we'll see. As the woman walks about, she can tell when menstruations begin. She senses wetness at the vulva. She senses wetness at the vulva. I remember some of my students, when I'm describing even the kind of wetness here, some, when they are chatting through the Billings Ovulation Method app, you will see them writing wetness, every wetness. And then I ask them, the wetness that you have just described, is it the same? Some of them, they start, oh, it is not the same, but I don't know how to describe that one. And then I always give an example of, I have a towel, I have put it on or soaked it in water, remove it, place it on a table. And then I ask you, kindly just touch that towel. Remove your hands. Describe for me the sensation that you have felt or what you see. Some will tell me, yes, I feel wet and I can literally see water. Yes, okay, good. Now the second one, can you now squeeze the water? You squeeze water and you ensure that there is no water at all. What happens when you put in the table and I ask you to touch it? What they will say, it's wet, but do you see the wetness? Literally, you felt the wetness, but you cannot be able to see the water with your naked eyes. Now, that description and the first, is it the same or not? Is automatically different. Now, that is what now I want you to describe using your own words based on the wetness that you have observed. Some, they now, after that, they graduated, now they could be able now to differentiate using damp, literary wetness, the consistency, even they give the color. That is how this particular method works, and it is very easy. Now here we are being told, in the same natural way, she feels the presence of mucus when it begins and notices how it changes from time to time. In the same natural way, the way she feels when menses are coming, she can feel also the presence of mucus when it begins and notices how it changes from time to time. For my student already, they understand that changing from time to time, what it means. That is the sign of fertile phase beginning. The presence of constant mucus that does not change day after day is a sign of infertile phase. We normally refer to BIP, basic infertile pattern. Everything in your reproductive system in the ovary, the ovary are inactive. the eggs are not being produced, everything is at resting phase. And this one you can be able to infer through the sensation and the kind of discharge you experience as a woman. She may notice that there are some days when she feels nothing at the vulva, that is dryness. She learns to recognize this as her infertility. Other times, she notices the sensation changes, and each day is a little different. This is telling her that this time she's fertile. There are two descriptions that have been given of the fertile phase and infertile phase. Other times she notices the sensation changes, and each day is a little different. That is the fertile phase. That is the fertile phase. But constant discharge that does not change day after day, that is infertile phase. At the end of the day, the woman makes a record of any bleeding and mucus that has been observed during the day, particularly paying attention to the vulva sensation. And I said earlier, the sensation that you feel at the vulva is the most reliable and recommended. But in the Billings Ovulation Method, you will have those two columns for the physical and for the sensation. We combine together under the app, and we can be able to interpret. Questions have been arising from my students who have been experiencing, they started using this method. What will happen if in a day I've experienced two different kinds of sensation? I have felt wet during the day, but when it was approaching evening, I felt wetness. Which one should I chart? You chart the most fertile one. And which is the most fertile one? Dry is a sign of infertile. And wetness is a sign of fertility. Now, you will take the wetness. That is what you will be able to chart. Remember, this fertile phase and infertile phase, for you to recognize them well, kindly work with a teacher. He will be able to tell you when you have started charting. And the first time that you want to begin to use the Billings Ovulation Method, you will have first to abstain for the first 2 weeks without any genital contact. Why? Because confusion might occur when there is a genital contact. And also remember, even the seminal fluid that a man produces might contain live sperms, which maybe you will be on a fertile phase, they might penetrate up to the fallopian tube. And also seminal fluid interferes with the observation. For the first 2 weeks will be required to abstain and to make the observation so that we can ascertain the pattern that has emanated, and we can tell whether you are in fertile phase or in infertile phase. But at the same time, I have out of experience see some couples whom they were willingly and they did that, but after 2 weeks the pattern was not clear. What happens? We can extend a little bit until we become sure. But do not worry. Do not worry. At the end, things will unravel themselves well, because some of the clients who comes already, their bodies have been affected by the contraceptives to the extent now when the body is coming off the pill, some signs might be confusing. Until the body stabilizes itself well, we get now a clear pattern and we can be able to tell you have fertile phase and infertile phase, or your pattern is infertile. Until further notice, on daily basis, once we are chatting, it will be able to reveal itself as we go about. We normally tell the couples or women, you need to chat during evening. And they ask, I normally ask, evening, when say I talk about evening, what do you understand about evening? Some will say it's at 6, at 7, at 8, at 9. But when I'm talking about evening, it means the time that you go to bed after ascertaining that the observation I've made, this is what I have made. It is dry, nothing seen, or it is wet, slippery, or any observation that you will have made. From there, you can make your choice, either to have intercourse or not, depending on what you want through the Billings Ovulation Method, either to achieve or to postpone. Also, the other part is of monitoring your reproductive health. Are we together? Hope we are together. Uh, coming this Sunday, in our WhatsApp group, we have our group that we have opened. It is called Natural Family Planning Method Group. That was opened by Dennis and Ida 3 years ago. We normally have our online classes every Sunday or every other Sunday. You can join us also through the WhatsApp to be able to get more insights on the Billings Ovulation Method. Like coming this Sunday, 27, I will be offering a session on the menstruation cycle phases, the phases of the menstruation cycle. Feel free to join us and to learn. Thank you for participating in this our session for today. Any question, kindly you can chat through the comments. Please, I also encourage you to share this gospel of the Billings Ovulation Method. This is a knowledge that every woman ought to have. It is a right of every woman. Kindly like my channel for more videos to come. Thank you.